Hey, hello YouTube, Trademark Kill here, and today we have another special video. And since the fresh Nostalria / Elysium server is launching on January 7th, I thought I'd give you some advice about how and the best practices to actually level optimally or somewhat optimally on a fresh server launch like this one. These rules are in no particular order, just some stuff you might want to remember as you go about leveling, and especially with the extremely busy zones that there are going to be basically all across the entire server on for every race. You might want to try and optimize using some of these tips and tricks, and then some of them also apply a little bit later down the line. So hopefully this is a nice little well-rounded piece of information for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 5 is called Guilty Conscience. Now, because of the ability, the importance of a guild in especially vanilla World of Warcraft, there are some things you might want to keep track of, such as the idea that building a rapport with a guild as soon as possible could be very interesting, especially if some guild tries to use the gimmick of it that they'll give you money towards your first mount. Unlikely, since that's more of a gimmick some of the more dying guilds use on longer lasting and more established servers. Those kind of dying guilds would use that as a trick to kind of increase the amount of recruits they get. But although might be some other stuff like helping you run dungeons, helping you, not necessarily like porting you, but giving you a kind of caravan of people, especially on a PvP server, to cross. Maybe you're trying to get out of the wetlands to Loch Modan or to Menthil Harbor, and there's horde around. You need to you might be able to find a few guildies who can caravan, and then so maybe not carry you across, but still watch each other's back as you go from point A to point B. As of course, also getting guildies together makes dungeon runs easier, raids easier, acquiring materials for items or for mats or for mats for raiding and stuff. That makes it just all a lot easier. So as you come into this, remember that to try and build a rapport and get a guild, rule number 4, know your class beforehand. This is kind of just a tip for some of you guys who are looking to roll on the fresh PvP server, just to try and get a fresh start. Even if you are a vet of vanilla WoW, or maybe even just someone who's acquainted fairly well with a vanilla WoW, learn your class beforehand, especially if it's a class that you've never ran before in the atmosphere of PvP realms or vanilla World of Warcraft, because knowing the capacities and limits of that class could very much help you level and get ahead of the pack. Because if there's going to be 50 people in one starting zone, trying to optimize also has to go back to what you know about your class. How much can your class handle at what points in time? So knowing your class early could help you optimize and get ahead of the pack and stay ahead of the pack so you can get out the zones as fast as possible. Rule number 3. Learn and get and obtain all dungeon quests before you go into a dungeon. Yes, sometimes running a dungeon multiple times could be highly beneficial for items or XP grinds to get into that, just get a little extra XP to get into a different zone or be in a better position as you level. But if you're only doing it for quests, get into the habit of knowing each dungeon quest and getting all those quests before you go into the dungeon. Because if you're only doing it for the quest XP, you're going to be wasting a lot of times running those dungeons multiple times, because as another tip is going to be later on in this video, questing XP is not like it was in BC or Wrath. It is very much diminished. So yeah, get all the dungeon quests before you get into a dungeon, because that's going to help you optimize the XP gain. Rule number 2, don't level a healer. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm going to let my friend the Mende tell you what this is all about.
Want some leveling advice? Don't level a healer. Don't even think about leveling a healer. Hey, you. Yeah, you with your finger over the first point in restoration as a druid. Don't you fucking dare. Are you a masochist? Do you love feeling the hatred of everyone in your group rain down upon you? Do you enjoy being told how much you suck on a daily basis, while simultaneously being the only thing standing between your group and death? Well, if you answered yes to all of those things, don't level a fucking healer! Yeah, you thought I was going to tell you to level one, didn't you? It's still not even worth it. All you get as a healer is a lifetime of pain and suffering, with a delightful coating of getting blamed for everything that goes south. Want to do that quest by yourself? Don't be a healer. Want to grind mobs by yourself? Don't be a healer. Want to queue up for a dungeon without worrying of getting yelled at? Don't be a fucking healer. Your Honor, I rest my fucking case.
Rule number 1, group counseling. As I said in rule number 3, the XP reward for kills is so much lower in group as it is compared to something like BC or Wrath, that it is almost going to certainly destroy the amount of time you have, or your XP per minute, if you're constantly trying to group just because there's so many people in one zone. You're just like, screw it, I'm just gonna group, get it done easier. That might help, but you'll be going into, like, say you'll be Northshire Abbey. If you level the entire time in a group, you'll have all the quests done, but you'll probably be barely into level 4 going into Goldshire, which is gonna, as I said, make it a lot harder to level, in which case you're probably also going to be moving with the pack, because a lot of people are going to be doing that, so therefore you're not beating anyone out in terms of how fast you're leveling, so you're never going to be the first to get into an area so you can claim the quest mobs before everyone's farming them. You're going to be moving with the pack, and therefore leveling a lot slower, and especially if you're going to just continue to do everything in a group, it's going to really destroy how fast you level. And of course, maybe you're doing that like I'm going to be leveling with Namende, who you just heard of, and her husband, Kexi. But yeah, it's maybe that's going to be your plan, but as a general idea, don't do it on purpose just to, like, get the quests done faster. Consider, is this quest worth, there's so little mobs that it's worth it to group, and with this huge amount of people, or can I kind of scrape by getting 2 spawns on rotation, or 1 spawn on rotation, or locking that 1 spawn down? How fast will that get it done compared to grouping? And if you can kind of figure that out, hey, it might be worth it to group, it might not. But just remember that if you're trying to stay ahead of the pack and get ahead of everyone so you can claim quests mobs faster and earlier before everyone, grouping early might not be the best decision. But that's my 5 tips, rules, and guides for leveling on the upcoming Elysium PVP Fresh server. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I got a new camera, so I'm hoping this looks good and feels good for you guys. So thank you guys again for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. As always, Trimmer goes out. Peace.